Cool. I'll start now. Hopefully everyone can hear me. So hey, I'm Jake, one of the organisers at Trusted Tech Talks. Welcome to our first webinar of 2021, addressing the cybersecurity talent gap. So thanks everyone for joining us for today and taking the time out of your day. Really appreciate it. So today we're joined by Philip Wright, Head of IT Security over at Auden. We've got John Lomas, heads up the Foundry project through University of Lancaster. And we've also got Theo Johnson from also Auden, Security Analyst. Just so you're all aware, the webinar will be recorded. It'll be sent out to all you guys as well, and also all the guys that can't probably make it but expressed an interest. You'll be provided with a short survey at the end as well. It'll open automatically. Please be honest as possible. We appreciate the feedback, whether it's good, bad, different. It'd be good for all future webinars and events moving forward. So I will soon pass over to Philip, who will be talking about the general problems on the cybersecurity talent gap, some of the solutions on how companies can do things better. Philip will then pass over to John, who's going to be talking about positive trends, how companies can get involved more and do things better again across that cybersecurity space. And then finally pass on to Theo, who will be talking about his journey from apprentice to analyst over at Auden now. So all together probably lasts around 45 minutes with a 10 to 15 minute Q&A at the end of the session, looking to finish at around 6:30. It may go over 6:30, so depending on how many questions we get through, don't feel like you need to stay on the call. If you need to shoot off. So for the Q&A, we'll be using the Zoom Q&A chat box, so please just pop your questions in throughout the whole webinar as we go. People can upvote other people's questions as well, and then at the end, like I mentioned, Phil, John and Theo will be happy to answer as many questions as we can get through. If we don't get time to answer all your questions, feel free to pop them in the survey. We'll be looking to put together a bit of a PDF essentially with all your unanswered questions, and also potentially a second part to the webinar, depending on how this one goes. But yeah, throughout this webinar, please just keep on sharing your thoughts, keep on sharing your questions. Anything that you raise, anything the guys raise, just throw it in there, and then at the end, the guys will be able to answer. I'll now hand over to you, Philip. Capable hands of yourself. I'll let you introduce yourself and obviously crack on as well. Cheers, guys.
Mute, the most evil thing of 2020 and 2021, I imagine. I'm Philip Wright. I am the head of security at Auden. I'm going to try to keep this not too heavy on statistics, but they are quite important for this talk. So I'm going to dive into some of the problems that's facing the InfoSec community in the UK, but not just in the UK. This is a global problem, but it is largely a problem of our own making. 48% of companies do not have enough cybersecurity staff for remote working during COVID. This isn't a new problem. However, the skills gap has probably been around as long as InfoSec has been. SIEM and ethical hacking are kind of the most missing skills, and less than 1% of technology professionals possess these. 653,000 businesses have a skills gap when it comes to InfoSec, and this includes just enough to implement the basic information security certifications such as Cyber Essentials. When you get into the advanced skills gap, like penetration testing, forensic analyst, and architecture, approximately 400,000 businesses have skills gaps in these areas as well. 7 out of 10 businesses have tried to recruit in these roles, and they've had problems with this because of a lack of technical skills or knowledge. While soft skills does come into play sometimes, we're not going to focus on that part for this talk. So we see here that 51% of cases, employers found it hard just to even fill generalist cyber roles. The information security workplace is not diverse. Only 15% of the workforce are female, where it's 28% in the wider tech sector. And only 16% come from ethnic minorities. There's a few causes to these problems. One being job specs are often unrealistic and they create barriers into entering InfoSec. There's an unwillingness to take on juniors or interns and train up the talent. This is quite important overall, because if you're not willing to train up the juniors and interns and the recent graduates, then as a field in general, you're not going to get your mid and your senior range security talent, which you need in the future. And that's why this is a problem of our own making. There's a lack of professional development of staff. There again, if you don't develop your talent, you end up with problems in the future where you don't have your mid and senior range, and internal progression leads to professionals getting stuck, or they have to really put in their personal time. But due to the ability to hire InfoSec staff, then this often means that these people are already working long hours, maybe 60, 70 hours a week, and a lot of times they don't have time to put in that self-study. This is a job spec. I censored out who it is. I don't want to name and shame, but this is currently live, and it's looking for a junior security analyst. They're asking for 5 years experience in security product development. This is unrealistic for a junior to have. At this point, they would be mid-range and should be progressing towards probably the low end of the senior range even. And this is one of the problems on creating unrealistic barriers into entering the InfoSec field. We have another here for a junior SOC analyst, which actually requires the OSCP certification, and it's paying 21 to 25,000. This is also unrealistic. The job spec here is largely pointed at a penetration tester. So, you know, kind of writing these unrealistic job specs, it doesn't help in hiring, and it also kind of leads to problems in people entering the market. So a recent report shows that companies are not investing in training up their cybersecurity talent. Only 24% of, I guess, smaller firms have done so, and those numbers rise when you look at medium and large firms. However, it's not enough to sustain the hiring trends which are required for the UK information security sector. So what can we do about this? One of the key things is to hire junior analysts. Obviously, there needs to be a minimum technical bar, but when you interview and you find that talent at a junior level, it's important to hire them, but not only to kind of bring them in, to train them up into mid-range and juniors and things like that. A lot of times it's quite beneficial for companies because you find kind of a wealth of new knowledge. You find a level of excitement that you don't necessarily have with your mid-range security analysts or your seniors. So getting those fresh perspectives is quite important. Writing realistic job specs is important. You need to know what you need and look for that and label it correctly. But you don't always need a senior. You don't need 5 years experience and everything. If you have a base team in already, it's okay to hire juniors and progress them from there. And so it is quite important though to invest in your staff and their career development, not just juniors, but your mid ranges as well, and your seniors, to keep their skills sharp and to keep them growing. And now I will hand over to John.
Hi folks, unmute myself. Thanks everyone for attending. I'll just start my screen share. Can everyone see that? Yeah, I can't hear anyone. Is that all right? Am I on, Jake? Yeah. Yeah, great. Okay. Hi. Yeah, I'm John Lomas. I'm work for Lancaster University, based up in Lancashire. It's a beautiful picture of our campus by night. Not many of us have been there since March last year, unfortunately, but we're one of the top 10 UK universities and International University of the Year last year. So kind of I was thinking of really why I was here, why I was talking to you on a Thursday evening. Lancaster's an academic centre of excellence for cybersecurity research, accredited by GCHQ and the NCSC, and recently became one of 8 universities to become gold accredited for cybersecurity education. So we like to think we know a little bit about cybersecurity. We're involved heavily with small businesses, medium businesses through the Cyber Foundry and some of our innovation and growth programs that we run. And we're a research intensive university with a firm focus on knowledge transfer, that's global, national and local, to support companies with cybersecurity and with innovation. But obviously as a university, we're also key to helping with supply the talent and talent pipeline. And one of the key Northwest universities providing higher level qualifications in cybersecurity. Philip kind of got and jumped straight into some of the issues and some of the problems and skills. But I was thinking this afternoon, well, what exactly is the market? And it's a rapidly growing market, cybersecurity. I'm sure everyone's aware. As companies move onto digital platforms and engage digital technology further, security is inevitably sits side by side with that. The current market's worth so many dollars, 173 billion, but that will grow within 6 years to an expected 270 billion dollars. Kind of, you know, big figures and big numbers, but I think we're all kind of aware, and certainly probably most people on the call, it is a growing sector, and very similar to sectors like construction, I guess, who are a new sector, but have very peaks and troughs in terms of infrastructure projects and levels of activity. They struggle with skills gaps. Cyber's relatively new in digital tech, so there's an additional complication. I then started thinking about Manchester and why cybersecurity is important in Manchester. Manchester is now home to the country's fastest growing cyber security ecosystem and digital ecosystem. Everybody knows it was the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution. And the world's first stored computer. So it's a city that never stops innovating and being pioneering. Manchester's recently nurturing talent with companies like Sakama, NCC Group, as well as larger security focused companies like BAE Systems, Raytheon, and KPMG playing an active role in the city. Recently, GCHQ have arrived in Manchester with plans to grow up to 1,000 staff on site, alongside lots of other commercial and private industries. So Manchester's also a net importer of talent. We're bringing in and attracting people from outside to help with the talent pipeline. There's 3 universities based in Manchester, and ourselves obviously a little bit further up the road there. So we've got lots of capacity to be able to help deliver some of this problem, or solve some of this problem. Phil alluded to the gap, and that we've got lots and lots of problems and lots of gaps, and that if we don't do something differently, we're going to struggle. The good news, I think, the report tells me that I read yesterday, is that an extra 700,000 people joined last year, which was above the estimate. So the shortfall in people is only now 3.12 million, so it's just next to nothing. However, also COVID's obviously had an impact on that. And funnily enough, like a fifth of businesses have said they're going to downsize the security teams, which at this time seems ironic, considering that we're relatively in a world of mass remote working, digital transformation, and everybody using technology and being a little bit more susceptible to attacks. But over half of them actually said their organisations were at risk due to staff shortages. So people are very worried. So that there is some good news in amongst that, but to be taken with a pinch of salt, I think. What is it we can do? Well, companies are working in a really crowded marketplace. We haven't seen anything like this in this country for quite some time. Hopefully we will soon. But in terms of organisations, they're fighting for the same talent. And if they're accessing traditional talent pools, you're going to face stiff competition for high calibre graduates, school leavers, employees of the future. Companies need to stand out from the crowd. I think they need to do things differently, making sure they can promote their offer, promote what they're providing, standing out from the crowd. I think that involves not only just wages and salaries, benefits, opportunities, the whole package of why people want to come and work for you or for your organisation. Lego's the theme for tonight's images. They're not all Lego based, but I've tried to get as many in as I can. I think, we need to change the norm, change what we normally do. If we're talking about getting young people into the sector, and that's obviously the least line of resistance for us, because we have that's in our remit. We can affect that. We need to do things differently and change the norm. I think we need to provide a pathway, a clear path to be able to engage young people and provide direction for them. They need to be able to see an end goal, see where that path can take them. I think we need to provide fresh choices, opportunities for people to get involved, to be inspired, to pick, to choose, to understand what's on offer. If we think of other sectors that we are more familiar with in terms of careers, and it leads us to more Lego figures, there's established routes, and there's established levels, and there's established ways into that sector. So for your chef, you perhaps go in as a kitchen porter or a commis chef. The next stage is a chef de partie, then a sous chef, then a head chef, or a business owner. A builder, is it a bricklayer, an architect, a designer, a site manager? So you can see there's different ways. I think we need to help and define and create those clear paths for people. We have the ability as employers to help shape the curriculum at the moment. Schools, colleges, training providers providing education and creating that talent pipeline. They want employees to get involved to help them develop qualifications and opportunities for that. So one of my kind of pieces of advice is to work with colleges, work with universities or schools, get involved in that. One good way of doing that, and one that I'm very familiar with, this is Donald Trump. However, he runs the same apprenticeship show that Alan Sugar runs here, but in the US. So that's the reason for putting him up there. And he's in the news for other things. But apprenticeships are a great way for businesses to grow their own. A great way of engaging young people into the cybersecurity and digital tech sector. I worked in apprenticeships for 10, 15, nearly 20 years. It's a good way of instilling embedding DNA, as in the company's DNA, your culture, your approach, your values. You shape people from a young age. It's really cost effective with lots of support from government, and really flexible way. And all the way now, we've got things like higher and degree apprenticeships, so people can get to graduate levels through that same route. Again, there's new standards being developed all the time, so there's opportunities for people to get involved with that in terms of employers to help shape that curriculum. I think also companies need to help support the talent pipeline through engaging education, as I said, not only just helping them shape curriculum, but providing opportunities for careers education, providing, helping with up-to-date curriculum, work placements that will help inspire young people and get them to understand the sector, and give them a taste into it, internships, graduate placements, all these things that are on offer or that you can get engaged with, kind of perhaps provide some support and manpower, and yeah, there's time and investment cost on the part of you guys, but they give you a chance to try before you buy. That's how we used to kind of put it. Get to know the person, and then you never know, that could be your next hire. Universities run projects like knowledge transfer partnerships, really effective way of getting people into the business from graduate level and doctorate level, etc., to have people and academics working directly on a problem or directly within your business. So anyone who wants to know a little bit more about that, we can discuss later, or you can always get hold of me. I talked about engaging with schools and colleges, and Philip talked earlier about diversity in the sector and in the pipeline, the talent pipeline. We need to change the way we do things, and luckily in Manchester, we're quite lucky. We've got Digital Manchester who promote the sector body and have initiatives like Digital Her and Digital Futures that engage school kids and females, and then we've got the organisations like Digital Advantage who provide a whole host of different things into schools around mentorship, around business skills, around giving them work experience and a taste of. So it's these kind of initiatives, I think, that really help build that pipeline, that get people involved, and get young people into the sector and thinking about it. And it does take time. And I think employers, people, this guy said maximum effort is the minimum requirement. And that's one of Dash's kind of approach. Anyone who doesn't know, this is the manager of Burnley Football Club. We need to put in maximum effort to promote the sector, promote what's on offer to young people, to get them to buy in and want to come and work within this sector. And for companies, it's about effort includes time, it includes some investment in financial investment, but also perhaps in giving a bit back to careers, to schools, to colleges, to all those events where young people are being engaged to make that choice about careers. And I think if we can do things a little bit differently, I think we can achieve different things. So that's kind of me. I'm going to hand back over. I think Theo's going to give us a little bit of from a personal view, and I think Theo's had experience of either apprenticeships from what I'm understanding. Okay, I'll hand back over.
Okay, sorry, 1 second. Just try to get everything working. Good evening, everyone. My name is Theo Johnson, I just mentioned. I currently work as a security analyst for Auden. So my career in InfoSec has just started within the past year. I've had quite a varied history of jobs. My previous job was a carer, and even though I studied joinery at college, so I've had quite a few big jumps. My two main reasons of wanting a change was because, one, my physical health meant that I couldn't do care work anymore, and two, as much as I enjoyed care work, it wasn't something I wanted to be stuck in forever with little to no progression. So it was around this point now last year, February, when a friend approached me with the idea of getting into InfoSec. Now, initially that sounded really overwhelming because obviously all my past jobs have been practical and non-technical, so I had no experience there. However, he assured me that it wasn't something you could just walk into anyway. It required a lot of determination and hard work, especially starting off from where I was. So from that point on, the next 2 months were spent doing a considerable amount of studying, just learning the fundamentals of networking and the basics of cybersecurity, really, just to actually get an understanding of what I was getting myself into. More or less straight after that, I went into an internship with TerraSecure. Now, this was really good because it gave me the hands-on experience that I needed, especially after gaining all of that head knowledge that I'd done doing the studying the past few months. I also got a feel of the different aspects of that line of work. So some of the things that I did during the internship were, say, building a website. This was good because then we could go on the offensive and then attack our own website. So then when we are on the defensive, we can identify the type of cyber attacks and mitigate them and remediate those type of situations. Also, we wrote threat intel reports. Now, last year there was an issue with TikTok, so that was a good one to base around. I found it really interesting because although what appeared to me initially was just a small breach from a little app, had such an effect, not just company-wide, but also financially, governmentally, and nationally. So I really saw how broad of the spectrum cybersecurity was and the importance and how ranged InfoSec was too. By the end of my internship now with TerraSecure, I had gained multiple certifications. This allowed me to apply for the role as a junior security analyst. Since working with Auden, I've had to become familiar with different types of software and the company's policies as quickly as possible so that I could carry out my role efficiently. Also, the time I've spent here has been constant uphill of progression. So as a junior security analyst, the role is basically monitoring and escalating alerts to, say, the higher ups. Also, I was learning how to pull data from logs to add to our dashboards so that the information that we needed was readily available. Now, that was kind of the extent of my responsibilities for about the first 3 weeks, along with shadowing my boss. By the end of the month, I was already doing on-call and responding and dealing with alerts by myself. By the second month, my responsibilities had increased a bit more. So I was now already being shadowed by the new junior. I was making my own dashboards, pulling out from logs. I'd also started to create workflow automations for brand new alerts. That was around before Christmas time. Now I've just finished my 3rd month with Auden. This has involved me having bigger projects. So at the moment, I'm currently working on integrating APIs into our SIEM using Python. I've also just been promoted, so I'm now a security analyst. I've lost a junior to my title. That's been a really good, great way to end my 3-month probation, as it's given me more drive to succeed, especially in this brand new career, and it's shown me that it's something I can do. Personally, what I've learned from all of this is that getting into a career in InfoSec is more like the starting point rather than the end goal, as I've come to appreciate that a career in InfoSec is about continually learning and adapting, and being part of the security team here has allowed me to learn the right things in the right way because I'm getting the correct guidance and direction. So I definitely say that it's something that's definitely possible, and definitely worthwhile. So that's just been a short story of my journey into InfoSec within the past year. So just thank you for listening, and I'll hand you back over to Jake.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Cheers, Theo. Cheers, John and Philip. I think it looks like John's actually typing something actually to one of the Q&As that we've got. I suppose, yeah, I'll if you can see it, obviously, John or Theo or Philip, to be fair, looks like he's an outsider looking to get into the industry, finding the jargon very intimidating. Do you guys have any thoughts to that?
Yeah, I'll stop typing and then make it easier. Sometimes even texting. Yeah, I think he or she alludes to acronyms, vocabulary, and says once I take time to look up. So I'm sure Philip and the other guys, I'm not as technical as these two. I'm relatively new to cyber as well, and I think that take time to read. And read, and I'm sure Theo will say that's what he's been doing for the last few years, and I'm sure Philip continues to do it. Keep up to date, read as much information as you can, get as much learning as possible, courses, etc. So I think that's.
Yeah, I'll just add to that a little. I think if you're looking to get into the industry, probably one of the best things you can do is either reach out to someone, maybe someone in personal or professional life, or either find someone on LinkedIn, or maybe even ask Jake if he can refer you to someone. Find a good mentor. Find someone who's working in InfoSec, who has some experience. And I mean, the jargon is important, but a lot of the technical hands-on stuff can be quite important as well. The theory is great, but there's some practical stuff that you just can't get from the theory that you really need, even at a base level. So I do think that one of the most important things you can do is have a good mentor who's going to give you challenges, give you exercises, and help push you to where you need to be to land that first role.
Yeah, anything to add, Theo, or do you think the guys have covered it all?
Yeah, I agree, obviously, about having a good mentor and with the theory, because obviously while I was doing my studying, it was great to be taking it all in and trying to understand it, but then you could never really fully understand it 100% because you weren't applying it to anything. You were never in like a real world situation. So by having like a mentor, the internship, or someone taking you on, they allow you to use what you've learned and then also add on top of that, and to make sure you're going in the right way.
Brilliant. Cheers, guys. Yeah, I think we've got a question from Dave as well, Dave Hannigan, around the clearly defined goals that you mentioned, John. Obviously, certifications. Have you got any thoughts to that?
I mean, I personally, I would agree with standardizing certifications. I mean, I think there are too many out there. Some of them are a lot better than others. I think that the practical ones are a bit better than some of the just memorizing knowledge. So actually, some vendors have some really good training material as well. I know a lot of people don't hold vendor certifications in the highest esteem, but some of them are actually pretty decent. So yeah, I think that if we did standardize, it could help. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's usually hands-on knowledge is just as important or more important than certifications.
Cool. I think Gene's popped something in there around the Cybersecurity Council proposals as well.
Yeah. I'm just reading that. I think this is kind of what I was saying. If I'd have read this, perhaps I could have put it into my slides, because part of it's what I was saying is giving it a standard route, the way forwards. If you're going to become a doctor, you do that route. You become, medical school, blah, blah. If you're going to be, then there's got to be one way. I think some of that report I was reading that Philip, you used for some of the stats, it was talking about that exactly. How do you, I don't know. We've got to make it clear. It's too disparate and fractured. There's too many. I think something like 27 different qualifications, and none that are included in an apprenticeship or really. So that's what I think we need to do. Just like I say, it brings it in line with other sectors.
Bro. Yeah, bro. We had one, yeah, Martin Engleton. How should I, as a teacher, engage with the industry? We were doing qualifications and immersive labs, but getting project partners and finding degree apprenticeships is really hard. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there are lots of opportunities. The organisations I mentioned in mine are get involved with that, and with Digital Manchester are quite active in that, in trying to link the academia with industry. There is in the city is going to be a security and innovation hub by the city council. That's due next year, I think. And part of the role of that will be to try and link up academia with industry. But there is lots of industry who want to do the other way, and people like Thales and BAE, have considerable resource to support that. So try to look at people like that, because they often provide toolkits and resources and opportunities and mentorship programs, and but that doesn't mean to say ignore the smaller companies, because they also can be really useful and helpful locally for schools and colleges and people like that.
Well, with various fields under the IT security umbrella, you all have different skills in the field, but what's the common fundamental theme you all share?
I think there's two things there. Ethics. A lot of people get into InfoSec because they want to do good. They want to protect people. They want to protect resources. They want to make a difference. And then the other thing is curiosity, probably, I think, would be a good one. You have to be curious. You have to want to learn, but you have to want to investigate things and stuff like that. I mean, pretty much every area of security requires that curiosity.
Nice. Yeah, you guys agree? John, Theo?
Yeah, I think so. There's obviously, it's very clear, isn't it? It's cybersecurity. You either got your hood up and you're hacking, or you've got a nice coloured hat on. There's nothing in between. So I think ethics drives that, potentially. But for me, and I think that DNA I talked about, understanding the DNA of the company, and I think your approach and how, as an individual potentially approach work and approach. I think it's the soft skills as well that are really, really important. So it's technical is great, but it's people skills as well. So I think that's what did the guy from Porsche say? Higher character, train skill. We can train animals to do things, but you can't train them to behave. Anyway.
Yeah. Cool. I think the last one, I suppose, just to answer, if I'm going to be reaching out to all attendees, with obviously follow up and feedback and everything along those lines. So you'll have, I suppose, my email, and what I can do is basically set up a chat with anybody that you want, whether it's Theo, Philip, or John, or all three. I can set that up for you guys. If anybody wants to reach out to them, and get in touch, and we'll drop them on LinkedIn as well. But I'll be following up. So anything, drop me a message back. But yeah, amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely happy if someone wants to reach out. If you're looking for a mentor, I typically try not to take more than 2 or 3 at a time. But I'm definitely happy to help. And if I don't have bandwidth, I can suggest you someone who will.
Well, cheers, Phil. Well, thanks to yeah, again, Philip, John, Theo, brilliant, really good stuff. I think virtual clap, it's only me, so don't worry about it. But yeah, great stuff, and thanks everyone as well for joining us. Hopefully, you know, you all took something from it, learned something new, and enjoyed it, really, most importantly. What we're going to be doing is, like I said, I'll follow up with everybody. We're going to be putting out a white paper. I'm popping up the video as well on YouTube as well in the next few days. So we'll email everyone that sort of pop their details in. So stay tuned, and stay tuned for future events as well. We're going to be setting up them pretty frequently. So yeah, stay tuned. And again, thanks to everyone for joining us, and have a good evening. Stay safe, and yeah, enjoy the rest of your week.